Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to Facebook Live. So, we are getting it together over here, and making sure that we can see you, hear you, all the things. So, how are you on this Tuesday? So, I was on a video this morning, and, excuse me. My co-presenter said it was 32 degrees where they were, out in Washington State. And I thought, oh, I'm not ready for that quite yet. I'm still wearing short sleeve shirts when most people have a jacket on. I guess you could say I'm in denial. I love fall, but I also don't want to give in to like dressing for winter, if that makes sense. So that's where we're at here with all of that. So let's see, what do we got today? So there are new kits out this month, so Christmas related kits, which are really fun. And I showed you one of those last week with the Calm and Bright kit that's available. And if you want to join my team, there's an incredible starter kit special available right now. And what's really cool about that is you can actually add new products that are coming out in November to your kit. So that's really fun. We've got, I feel like it's that time of year where I want to be like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. Trying to remember all the things that are happening. No, it is Christmas season. So I know some of you aren't ready for Christmas, and that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. But my Christmas kits are available, and I'm actually going to make a Christmas card today. So bear with me. If you're not ready, it's okay, because you can use the layout for all sorts of occasions. Let's see here. I think, I can't remember anything else, so I'm gonna put my camera down. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Let's do it this way. And we'll just get this in. Don't mind all the supplies that you can see here. Oh, and my mouse. I've got my computer up here next to me because I'm running a bunch of Zooms today. And so, yeah, we're ready for that. All right, I'm going to be using this ephemera here today, so that's why it's sitting here. But we are going to make a fun triangle card. So just a way to, design kind of something a little different to show you. So here is my sample card that we're going to make, and it says 'tis the season on the inside. But we're just going to make that with a couple of squares of designer series paper. So we need 3-inch squares. Grabbing my supplies here from next to me. Okay, so for this card, I am going to use, now the sample I showed you was using Modern Christmas, but this one I'm going to use Traditions of Christmas, I think it's called. But you just need 2 squares of 3x3-inch designer series paper that you like together, okay? So it could actually be 2 pieces of the same exact paper because you like the front and the back. In my case, I am mixing and matching what I'm using, but you need 2 patterns where you like both of your patterns. You also need a piece of 3 3/4 by 5 cardstock, and then you need your card base. And then we'll finish off the card with any kind of accent, sentiment, embellishments, that sort of thing that you might want to add. All right, I am going to take my 2 3x3 squares. Let me actually move my ephemera out of the way here for a moment. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to line these up together. Now, my sample card, I actually used directional paper, which was a little crazy on my part. When you're because when you're doing a new design, I highly recommend that you do not use directional paper because you may not cut it the right direction. And so I didn't, but I'm going to show you how I fixed it. So these two are not directional, so it's going to be fine. Now you can cut these one at a time, or you can cut them together. I'm going to go ahead and cut them together. So I've just lined up my squares and I've cut the first diagonal. I'm going to turn it around and it moved a little bit on me, so I'm just going to realign my pieces here. And we're going to cut the other diagonal. Okay, so what you end up with, I still need my trimmer, but let me show you what we have so far. Okay, so I'm going to take the top piece off here, move these down. Okay, so we've got our two squares. Here, I'll flip them this way so that you can see. We've got our two squares that have now been cut into 4 triangles each, right? Now we're going to take one of them and we're also going to cut another piece, and I'm trying to decide. I think I'm going to go with this. No, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do this one. And I am going to, you know what? I need to move this because I don't know if I can show you. There. I'm just going to cut this in half. So in order to show you on camera, I'm lining up my triangle with one of these horizontal lines on my trimmer. And so we're just cutting that in half, okay? So I'll put that back over here so you can see where we've come from. All right, so let me move these. So we have all of our triangles. So one of my squares was cut into 4 triangles. The other one I cut into 4, but then I took one of them and I cut it in half again. Okay, so that's where we're starting from. So now we're going to take our piece of 3 3/4 by 5 and we're going to lay out our triangles. So I'm going to start with the 2 smallest ones. And I'm not adhering anything, I'm just laying out my design. So I recommend when we do adhere these, we're going to start with the 2 smallest ones. So in fact, just for placement, I'm going to go ahead and adhere these 2 because it'll help with reference for the rest of what I'm laying down. So we're going to take those smallest 2 triangles and we're going to adhere those in the opposite corners, and it is all the way to the edge of our 3 3/4 by 5 piece of paper, okay? All right, so now we can begin laying out some of our other triangles. So we're going to have, and we'll fix these as we need to, but let's just first get our placement here. Just like so, okay? So this is what we're going to be doing. So we have glued down, and we do have this extra one here, so just hold that for a second. So we've glued down our 2 smallest triangles, and these I'm just laying out. So these are on opposite corners. So on the other 2 corners, we're going to do the other pattern. So whatever pattern was not your smallest triangles, we're going to adhere those next. So I'm going to take this one. And again, I'm going to go all the way to the corner with this piece. This will help with your spacing. Okay, and then I'll take our upper right triangle, and I'll go all the way to the corner along the edge. Okay, so now I've got those 4 done. And so now I can just begin to put the other ones in place. So these 2 are adhered, so these 2 are not. So I'm just going to say, okay, I want these to be evenly spaced. So probably right about there. So I'll just take one off and I will adhere it. The fun thing is, once you have the triangles, you can kind of just begin to play with different designs. This is one possible design that you could do, but you could always play with ways to arrange your triangles. So the tip of my triangle is going to go all the way down to the bottom of my paper. Okay, and I'm actually just going to turn this around because it makes it easier to adhere. Now, once again, I want these 2 triangles to be evenly spaced. So something like that. And we'll just start with one. And we'll put it all the way to the bottom of my mat. And then our last triangle, we'll go right here with the point all the way down at the bottom of the card mat. Okay. All right. So I am going to work on my finishing touches for this. So I'm using this black and white and gold baker's twine. I actually only have the white and gold left. I've used all of my black and white. And now normally, here's what I would normally do. I would put this down and I would set this down and then I would go and wrap my twine around my card. The problem is this is kind of a slippery booger. And so it just likes to move. So Scotch tape is your friend. I'm just going to Scotch tape that end down because then I don't have to worry when I give it a slight little tug to put my twine on here. I don't have to worry that it is going to come up. So we'll just tape down that whole thing and then I can cut it off. Okay. All right. So I've got my twine on here and I'm gonna just adjust it a little bit and kind of finagle it wherever you'd like it to be now. And then I'm going to dimensionalize this whole thing. We'll just stick some of these longer edge pieces there. There we go. All right. I like to keep my mats nice and balanced on my card base. So sometimes that means I got to do a little extra dimensionalizing. So we'll just pull these all off. Now for this one, I've chosen to use a Secret C card base instead of tone on tone like I did for my sample, which I'll show you that again in just a second. But what that means is I do have to put an insert on the middle of, or on the inside of my card. So I'm going to take this and I'm also going to grab my last triangle. We're going to come back here. Now remember this, that we had this extra triangle, okay? Because when I bring back my sample, which I will do, oops, I don't need to score it, I need to cut it. So after we finished our front panel, we had that extra triangle. Now on this particular card, because I I accidentally chose directional paper. I actually had to cut my extra triangle and use one of the pieces for these small ones, because otherwise when I went to put on my two small ones here in the opposite corners, one of the trees was going to be upside down, and that's no good. So I actually cut my second triangle in half and used one of the pieces on here, and it meant I did not have the extra pieces to put on the inside of my card because my trees were upside down. All right, so we're going to take these two, and we've got another piece of 3 3/4 by 5 here, and I'm just going to carry my triangle theme to the inside of my card. I think I'm going to do opposite corners. You could do the same corners. You could do the top two, bottom two, wherever you want it. I think I'm going to do opposites. Okay, so for my card, let me get both of these here. We'll go ahead and crease down my front piece. I had an extra die cut sitting here, so I just kind of grabbed it. I thought, oh, this will look nice, so we're going to be putting this on here. In fact, I can go ahead and do that. And then, oh, this top came off. There we go. We'll just add one more because I got that twine on the front, and I want to make sure that we get our dimensionals on both sides of that twine. So we're just going to put this right in the middle. Okay. All right, so at the beginning of the video, you saw that I had my ephemera in the video. Now, I've gone through, because I'm using this for Christmas kits that you guys are ordering, and so I went through and I've sorted all the extra pieces I had left. So these are the extra sentiments, and I think I'm gonna do Merry Christmas, and then I think I'm gonna do a 'Tis the Season. Yeah, I'm just gonna mirror what I did on my sample. All right, so these are stickers. These are sticker ephemera, which you could still just put adhesive, glue, dimensionals, whatever, on the back. You don't have to peel off these backings. So there's still multiple ways you can use them, even though they are stickers. Okay, so we'll take that now, and we're just going to carry that triangle theme into the inside of my card with 'Tis the Season. There we go. Okay, so then for my front, obviously this one is too long, so we are just going to modify it. I'm just gonna round it off here. So we'll have Mary, and then just gonna round my C a little bit. There we go. So I'll start with Christmas. But as you can imagine, you could put any paper and sentiments with this. So, don't get hung up on the fact that it's a Christmas card. If you don't make Christmas cards, or you aren't ready to make Christmas cards, don't let that get you hung up. All you got to do is switch out your paper and your sentiments, and this card could be used for any occasion. So, and we're going to do Mary right here. And then we're going to take some of this iridescent foil gems, and I think I've got some that are open here. So we'll just add a couple here, and then I'll put one down here. Okay, So here we've got a fun triangle design. Merry Christmas, 'tis the season. Carrying those extra two triangles right here into the middle. Now on this first one, like I said, I accidentally picked directional paper, so I don't have the extra two triangles because I had to mix and match in order to keep my trees all right side up. And I did Merry Christmas and 'tis the season on the inside. But if I had had those extra pieces, even though I don't need an insert here, I still could have added my triangles to the inside. So hopefully that is just a fun little idea to use different shapes on your card, and just, just a fun way to mix things up. A lot of times we use squares and circles and, more standard shapes maybe, but this way you can use some triangles with just two 3-inch squares of designer series paper. So be sure to head over to the Handcrafted Blessings community group and post your version of this card so you can be entered into the weekly drawing. All right, you guys, have a great day, and don't forget to encourage one another and build each other up. I'll see you soon.